Hey everybody, welcome to the Shead Show. I'm your host, Ryan Shead. It wouldn't be an episode of ours if we didn't have some technical difficulties. So
because of me. Apparently because of me. Once again, third
never
time,
you.
me. All right, it's me. It's me. I have it on me. It's me. What's going on, man?
I don't know what to do. Yeah, nothing.
Get rid of me. You got to get a new co-host.
That sure as hell isn't going to happen. So for any of you who haven't watched before, haven't met my friend here, this is Ian Sherman. He is my co-host.
Ian, I make this shit late, Sherman. What's up, player?
Hey man,
just join him.
I just appreciate you taking the blame.
Hey man, hey, it's my essence. Apparently, that's what's happening. I break things by being on the internet. I guess that's where we're at.
I feel like that's been me the last few days. But hey, Kaylin, we're actually gonna start the show and congratulate you and the Texas Rangers on a well-played series. You guys beat my Diamondbacks, so congratulations.
That's what's up.
Well played. So no hate there. Well deserved. And actually, Kaylin sent me a thing earlier that there was a shooting at around the parade area. Thankfully, at least what I read, there was nobody hurt. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kaylin. She said the parade was nuts. But so hopefully nobody was hurt. Hopefully everybody had fun at the parade. That's the way it's supposed to be. And then we'll shift to something a little less happy. Matthew Perry passed away the other day.
That's really sad.
It really is. I don't know about you. I don't know if you were a Friends, fan or not.
Anybody who was a teenager in the 90s, man, they watched the show. I don't even care if you liked it or not. You still watched it. You still know pivot.
Pivot.
You know you know what I'm saying?
The funny thing is that I didn't start watching it until the last season. They were doing the last season, and I was buying the DVD seasons while I was in Japan. So I was catching up on the show as they were ending it, and then I got. But to also,
that must have been a little nostalgic for you for American culture.
It was. What I liked about it was that I got to watch everything without commercials. So you start on disc one, and it's and I watched The West Wing the same way. Jen got me the box series, and I just went right through it.
And now look at these young little Thundercats, man. They got streaming all day. They don't know our struggle.
They don't.
They don't remember those UPN commercials. They don't remember those CW commercials.
Dude, my kid was playing a game the other day, and she's complaining about the 30-second ads. I'm like, you're complaining about 30-second? I go, we used to have 5 minutes in between. You
knew to get up and just leave, and then come back when you heard your music.
I'm gonna go hit the bathroom, pop some popcorn, grab a soda, come back.
That's it.
But no, Matthew Perry. I know he hit hard for a lot of people just because of the Friends show. But one of the things that for me stuck out was he said in one interview he didn't. I think it was his book actually. He didn't want to be remembered. He didn't want the first thing people thought of when they thought of Matthew Perry to be Friends. He wanted it to be that he did his best to help people who were struggling with the same things that he was, addiction.
Yeah,
exactly. He said he wanted to be remembered more for, the good deeds and the things he tried to do for everybody else over the TV show. And, that just struck
he was a deep character, just in general, as a human being. He was he's a perfect example of how imperfect we are, but at the same time, striving. He didn't, even with him dealing with success, when you realize the level of success does not bring happiness. And it really does spark a good conversation about your own mental health, how you process something as good as success, being good at something.
Absolutely.
And it's so tragic because he was constantly, he's a perfect reminder that fighting addiction is an everyday battle. It's not, I won. It's not good versus evil. It is every day is a battle. And it's just so tragic. I mean, I hope that, he passed out in his hot tub. I hope and I say passed out as in just falling asleep. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know the
as
full
peaceful
cause of
as
his death.
possible. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nobody
I
knows.
just wish
Yeah,
it was just peaceful and then just good night. You know what I mean? But
yep,
it's one of those things. You know, he as a human being, he was a gem.
yeah,
Friends, you know, I didn't watch it until I think I was like a junior or senior in high school, and then I got more into it in college, actually.
yep.
And it's funny because it was when I moved to New York that I got to really enjoy the backstories on a lot of those characters here by living it and then watching it and being like, oh, that's actually kind of funny. You know,
Yeah,
it's funny how art imitates life, and you're just like, okay, well,
good.
here we are, or vice versa.
And like Kalen put up, one thing I just want to say before we move on is, none of us know what his cause of death was right now.
No,
So I mean, it's all speculation. Anybody saying anything, and um, you know, like Ian said, we can hope is that dude just was in his hot tub having a good time, and the light switch went off,
faded
and
out, faded out.
hopefully it was as peaceful as possible. So
I've definitely fallen asleep in a hot tub before, and I realized how dangerous that is. You're
mhm.
just so relaxed, and I literally was like, I need to get out of this bad boy. And then to
Yep,
hear that that's how he died, I go, yeah, that's exactly why you need to just get out. You just need to
yep,
bow. Yeah.
yeah. Once you start
So,
feeling that, yep, absolutely.
but rest in
All
peace.
right, yes, sir. Rest in peace, Matthew Perry. Um, so let's move on. I want to talk about House Speaker Mike Johnson again. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about him on several shows to come. Um, what what are your thoughts on this guy so far?
Penis is this big.
Jesus, Ian.
He has tiny dick energy. That's what I think. Tiny dick energy.
Mike Small Johnson.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
House
Itty
Spike.
bitty
Yeah.
Johnson. Itty bitty Johnson. That's what they called him back on the block. No, I think I think it's gonna be interesting. I think he's gonna get all right, let me just start with this. He's brand new to the game, meaning the lights on top of him the way they are. No one knew anything about him.
Mm,
He was definitely able to just kind of maneuver. He comes from a very poor district where clearly, my man, like I said to you, he can talk. He could talk well to buy his water. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those kind of individuals.
yeah.
Um, I think that he's going up against some heavy hitters. I think he's going up against a different kind of. I feel like Mitch McConnell saw a ghost. You know, and I'm thinking of like Scrooge McDuck. Like I think like there was a moment where he's like, "I'm gonna be leaving this planet soon. I need to at least do a couple adjustments on what I want to do." Because it's interesting. It's interesting that him and
Try to
Schumer
salvage
are
it.
on the same page. You know what I mean? Like he's really trying to
Yeah.
save his soul. But I feel like him and Schumer are on the same page because they understand the what's in front of us. Um, and I think all this is tied together. So you have this new generation coming in, much like ourselves, who are really questioning um, uh, uh, kind of the norm of government, but at the same time, also what can we break or bend? And I think Johnson is coming in a little too hard, too fast.
Mm,
I always think about anybody who gets into a job. You don't come in and kick in the door and think you're the smartest one in the room. You know, you
no.
kind of learn from everybody and you see how people play their position. Now, mind you, he's been in the game quietly in the shadows, much like Gollum, you know, with that ring. And it's interesting to think about how he's been maneuvering through quietly. You know, even though
Yeah.
if you look at his track record, he's been at every single pinnacle point of fuckery for the last couple of years. And that includes with the insurrection. So you already
Yeah.
know what you're dealing with. Who he was without the lights. Now I'm
Right.
interested to see what kind of pressure is put on him while he's under these bad boys because this shit gets real hot and it gets
Yeah.
real fast and the fact that you're going up against not only Schumer but now Mitch McConnell who's like, "No, you need to get on board. Like this is not
Yeah.
a time to play this game." It's quite interesting to see that. It's just like Tupperville, you know. The lights are getting hot on my man, and it's like when that's on you, they're literally on the spindle.
I would actually like to talk more on Tuberville. On it. Let me write that down. Actually.
We can come back around to him,
Yeah, I want to
but
come
with
back around to
Johnson,
Tuberville. But you know what
but
you were
yeah, with
saying. No, go
MJ,
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, just with I'm gonna call him the weak MJ. He, you know, he has a year at best to be in this position, and
Mhm.
I don't know if he's gonna make it. I don't. He still has that one vote against him rule that's in play. You know, he didn't negotiate that off the table. You know, he wasn't smart enough to do that. to get in this position. So it just takes one person to be like, and that could be anybody, Republican, Democrat, whoever, to vote to cast that vote.
Yeah, it's
And
like he
I think
constantly has it hanging over his head.
he constantly has it hanging over his head, and to try to appease everyone, especially how vast your party is, being extremist to the moderate. It's quite interesting to see that he's playing this game, but we'll see. It might be just show. He might just be full of shit because when the president tells you that they're going to veto it right off the bat, and then you have it in the Senate where they're like, we're not even going to look at your shit because it means nothing. Because if he was real, if he was serious, he would talk about removing not only the IRS if he was being serious. He'd also talk about what he would do to remove what Trump did with the tax cuts. If you wanted to really play that game, if he was
Yep.
like, no, I'm
Oh, that's a
I'm
good
about my
point.
business. I want to take away some of the Trump tax cuts, and I want to adjust some of that IRS, and maybe we can meet in the middle right here, because then you'd be like, okay, you're now politicking, you're
Yep.
now a deal
You're
maker.
you're you're
Do you know
you're
what I mean?
having good faith conversations. Yes.
Boom. So for him to lead, especially at this time right now, where we just need to start thinking about how can we create a pause, a ceasefire. It's the same fucking thing, but I love hearing the talking points. If we could create a ceasefire out there and then focus on how can they get the help to the right people. I don't even give a fuck if they created a boat city and just got all the people who are innocent on boats out in the ocean just to be posted up for a minute, just to get a break, just to not run from this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, create something.
Yeah.
It's just there has to be something now at this
Well,
point.
I want to circle back to uh, something Kalen said here in the comments. He was dean of a Christian law school that never opened. It never yet. It never existed.
That sounds like a tax write off, and it sounds like a easy paycheck.
Yeah, money laundering operation possibly, but it's just
Yeah,
when like you said, now that the lights are on this guy, now everybody's digging, and some of the things
everybody.
that everybody's digging, and it's
And you
like
motherfuckers on the internet are ruthless. Okay, y'all finding out what his receipts are from what he ate last night. Like, it's ridiculous.
yeah, some people it's a gift. I like I'm okay, but some people, like you said, they'll go back like 3 generations in your family and drag them. It's like holy shit.
Don't look at my family history.
Don't
Don't
look at
do it.
mine
All
either.
right.
Shit.
Way too much going on in there. Matter of fact, go ahead and bring it up. Go ahead and 23 me right now. Let's go. Let's go. Let's bring it on. Bring
23
it on.
me. Oh my god.
Go ahead. Go
Um,
ahead. Let's go.
did you say that those videos were working? You
I
heard
heard the
them?
audio. Yes,
Okay. So I'm
your
glad it was
test
just me then,
test
because
run.
I was about to throw something. So my other big issue with Mike Johnson, besides the fact that he looks like he's another con man, is that he is using his personal religion as his guiding star for everything that he does.
Yeah.
And that to me is very dangerous from a political position. There's a reason that we're supposed to keep our personal faith and religious beliefs out of legislating for everyone, because
But they
not
don't want to
everybody,
register. They don't want to. You know that.
and that's, I
It's
know
very
that,
evident.
you know that, and probably most of the people that are watching us know that, but unfortunately there are way too many that don't.
Yeah.
And or even more dangerous, there is a very large group of Americans who not only approve, but they want him to be even more extreme.
Of course. Of course. That's, I
You,
mean,
you
because
know,
they want power. Power corrupts absolutely. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Absolute
Yep.
power corrupts absolutely. That's
They
the proper
they
term.
want they
But it's
want all
interesting.
influence.
It's interesting, excuse me, because if you listen to his podcast with his wife, it's really telling on who this individual is. And like you said, he's either that um, was it the parking lot tent preacher, or he is as a con, or he really is about that life. And but they're also talking about how they can't find this alleged adopted black son that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, there's just, they can't find family photos, they can't, all this stuff. So it's like, okay, so he whitewashed his own kid. I mean, if his kid looks like Michael Jackson 2010, that's a different
Yeah.
conversation. You know what I mean? Or if it looks like Michael Jackson in the 80s, we always look at how black you are by Michael Jackson melatonin.
Yeah, the
So I am currently in the
You
money
know the
deficit
card I'm thinking
90s.
of, the meme I'm thinking of, right? Like oh,
I'm hoping to die
80s,
looking like Liza
90s,
Minnelli. Okay, that's all I'm
2000s.
saying. That's exactly
Hey,
it. What
I know.
decade
I
are
always
you
joke.
in?
I'm in the probably the 2010s.
You know what I'm saying? That's all. Rest in peace,
No,
MJ. The other
yeah,
MJ, the dancing MJ.
the dancing MJ, yeah.
That's right.
Um, okay, so let's move on to the next talking point, which is Sam Bankman-Fried being found guilty.
Yeah, man. I don't know how much you know about crypto.
I know a little bit. I would not call myself a well-versed person in it.
It's interesting because this is the kid who is considered like the Henry Ford of like, you know, breaking technology, bringing us to the future. You know how Henry Ford was looked at with the Model T. Not saying he created it, but he was the one that broke through.
Yeah,
So FTX was much like there's like Coinbase, all this other stuff that you can get on, and so people much like you and myself during the height of the pandemic were like, well, I'm getting this money and I don't know what to do with it, as in like let me just invest it or do something different and whatever. So tons of people started investing a lot of their money, and some people I feel so bad for them. They invested their life savings because people got really drunk off the idea of like Bitcoin and will it reach 100,000 and
yeah,
blah blah
big
blah. You know, and it's
gains.
really it really does come down to like a whole nother level of gambling. Like we are like, this is not investing. This is gambling, and you need to know the difference. And it's quite interesting because with this, he was taking that money and he was helping float another company of his, and then he was trying to say that he didn't know anything about it. But then there's all this, you know, the digital fingerprint is on everything, right? Him checking
Right.
emails, him looking on certain sites, being that he had access to, and so therefore it's logged, it's cataloged that he went in on this day at this time, whatever, whatever.
I
So
would think it
point
would be
is,
pretty hard to to fake all that. You know what I mean? Or
literally,
to cover all that up. I would
there's
think.
no way to even scam anybody with crypto because all it is verification and passing of information. That's all it is. So everything's getting time stamped, and it has to get through like three different people before it actually like the transaction happens. Now the thing
Okay.
about currency, cryptocurrency, is that it's blockchain technology is pretty much breaking down a piece of information. It could be whatever, you know, it be a currency or just like say a letter. It breaks it up into a million pieces and then it sends it however it can to the other side for it to be put back together to then be the whole image or picture or whatever the case is. And so when that's then put there, but it still has to be verified from different sources to make sure that that is what they're seeing. So there's even a conversation about how that is not even going green because of how much power it takes to process one transaction alone. It takes a lot of power, a lot of energy. So you're like, Jesus, okay, so there is no future. I guess that's where we're heading. Of a greener, you know what I mean, tomorrow, having a digital currency. What's interesting is that he is the type of individual where it's coming out that it was all a scam because he thought he was smarter than everybody in the room. And
Yep.
so he wanted to testify. He wanted to be his own witness. He wanted to stand up. He wanted to testify. And it's really quite telling that when it was his lawyers, he was very, knew every answer, was on point, was studious. So he's banging them out. And then when he was then being cross examined, it
Oh,
was a
I
lot of
don't know.
It was, he said, I don't recall like 140 times. Like it was just one of those things where it was just like a lot of fidgetiness. And it was like, okay. So night and day.
Yep.
And of course, the case took place in New York, and New Yorkers saw right through that bullshit. They're like, we know a scam when we see a scam, you know. So he got prosecuted. He got charged on all accounts. So they got him. We'll see
Yep.
what happens
Five
next, but
hours. 5 hours they
that's all
deliberated.
it took. That's all it took.
So I mean, I was reading it's very similar to what was the other guy's name that took everybody's money like in the 2000 right around there
You talk about
2007.
Bergdorf,
Yeah, yeah, Bernie Madoff.
Madoff,
So
Bernie
so
Madoff.
he's just another
of
Madoff.
the of the next generation, and it was a Ponzi scheme. But the thing was that instead of him trying to pay off other people as a Ponzi scheme, he was dumping that money into another account.
And
That was another
using it
business
as
of
like a
his.
personal piggy bank.
I wouldn't even say that was using it as a piggy bank. I was saying he was trying to make something else work that wasn't working. And then also, I
Okay.
mean, look, fraud is fraud. They were using all types of shit. They were buying all types of shit. They were spending like, drunken sailors. They weren't paying attention. They weren't keeping their receipts, except for they were keeping their receipts, and they got. And everybody like his lieutenants all pled guilty and turned on him. And then they were like, his prosecutor or his defense was, well, they all took a deal, and that's why they're saying these things about our client. And it's like, no, they took a deal because they know that shit was
and
shiesty as
and
fuck,
they can and they can prove it.
and they don't have billions like he does because now he's a billionaire. He's so young, he's a billionaire. It's ridiculous.
That's insane. How did they sentence him yet?
They've not sentenced him yet. No, they just found him guilty. And of course they're gonna appeal it and everything, but it's like his ass he's going away. And
So,
the thing that's crazy about him is that he was paying off a lot of Democrats. He was talking a big game about how he was going to be this philanthropist and how he's going to take care of like the world. And it's like, no one needs you to take care of the world. Like if you want to start like actually taking care of the world, and I wonder if we'll touch on it. Is it Marcus Webb, the
yes.
water hydration system? So if you want, those are the people where I'm like, why am I not hearing about this individual more? And that's why I want to touch on him. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't care about this young kid who is becoming a scam artist, or like Pharma Boy, how we're hearing those stories.
Yeah.
It's just really tragic that these individuals, but we'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. But he,
Well, let's go ahead and talk
it's just,
about. Let's go ahead and talk about the water. Let's talk about what you sent me.
well, there's numerous things about this. You and I both being from Michigan, to switch it up. Marcus Webb has this program where he's bringing fresh water to people who don't have access to fresh water, i.e., Flint, Michigan, still does not have clean water. That shit is from 2011 that
11.
they actually started talking about it, but it was happening before.
Yep.
It was the 2009, 10, and then 11. It broke out in the news, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit more back that they were having complications. But by the time that they realized that the well was poisoned, 2011, it became a worldwide story. So Mr. Webb over here, he brought a device, and it looks like a shipping container, right? And it has this
Hmm.
device in it. He's letting everybody know, free water. Come get free water. It's pulling the moisture out of the air and creating and generating clean, drinkable water, and he's giving it away for free. Somebody in Flint, Michigan, you can look the story up. I'll try to send it to you later on. Destroyed the machine, and I don't mean destroyed the machine as in like just banged on it. I mean they tampered with it. They apparently poisoned the water, and they did something else to it. And all I can think of is like, well, I know Nestle seems like the mob, and Nestle is out there trying to get that Great Lakes water. I mean, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying, like, who would benefit from destroying this well-off machine who is helping people in need?
Yeah.
And all I can think of is the water companies or anybody who's like, we don't want free water going to just anybody.
Yeah. I
Plain
mean,
simple.
it's sad to say those are only two options you really end up with.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's either the water companies or it's some politician or something political that's happening
That they can't
for
have that
for
happening on their
some
watch.
something. I don't know, but
Yeah. But I
yeah, that
started
doesn't
looking up
make
his
much sense.
organization. His organization is amazing. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then I think about people like in Gaza, like how they could utilize a machine like this. People just in general who are in places where they don't have access to fresh water. How are we not looking at promoting something like this and bringing this to the forefront for everybody in need?
Well, it isn't.
That's
I think he's starting to do that too over in some
he
of
is, he
those
is,
regions. Yeah.
he is,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah. No.
ex-military.
Yep.
He's ex-military and he's doing his thing. So it's
Special
I give a
forces.
shout out. I like to give flowers to people who are doing their thing. That's the individual I think we should give our flowers to of really just changing the world one cup at a
Yep.
time.
Yep. So if you haven't, please go Google Marcus Webb. Read up on what he does. Like Ian said, he's a former special forces. So he's just out there fighting the good fight. So these are the people that we need to support. I totally agree, Ian.
Yeah.
So with that, I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Nancy Mace. She made an appearance on The Daily Show, and there's a clip that I posted. It's insane to me that this woman is sitting in Congress after watching this clip. So I'm going to play it, and then we'll talk about her.
Problem in this country, and I have seen bank accounts. It is. But I have seen bank accounts of the president's grandchildren with money directly from communist China. That should not be happening in our country, and it should be exposed for every American to see, and then decide whether or not that's okay. Whether there's an impeachment or not, I want people to see the evidence that I've seen and make a decision for themselves.
Do you believe the evidence against Donald Trump?
Which evidence?
All, I mean, exactly.
What are we talking about?
Pick one. Pick one of the 91 charges.
Which indictment? I mean, which one?
It's a lot of them. Let's just say Georgia.
Georgia, that would be over the election fraud. I haven't seen the evidence yet. I haven't seen it. There will be a trial, and everyone is allowed, again, I do a lot of civil rights work, and everyone is allowed due process under the law, and if they're found guilty, they take responsibility for that. But I haven't seen evidence to show that he's guilty of that. Now, there are a lot of people around him that did a lot of things. There's that Sidney Powell that took like a database, like a voter database maybe, and I don't know.
You say you don't.
Give it to me.
You said, I mean, my man. After you watch her remove
you don't even know what to
ass,
say to that, do you?
I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, she's a perfect example of a politician. I just don't think they realize that we all are paying attention. You know what I mean? Like, we're like it's in real time. It's not like this bitch wrote a letter. I'm sorry, I did not mean to call her a bitch. I did not mean for this bitch to write a letter. All right, but this bitch literally just said on national TV that her bitch ass saw evidence on some shit about communist China. And then this bitch on the next level said, well, we're all due process. Stop. Full stop. I am completely 100% for holding anybody accountable, whoever's done anything, because I'm tired of Mendez in fucking Congress. Get his shit, lock him up, get him the fuck out. I don't care. Him and his Egyptian gold. Gotta go. Santos, lock his ass up, get him. We gotta start clearing this shit out. And this is the thing that I keep talking about, where it's like, I'm not for a party anymore. It's more so about people who are actually in need, and the people who are in the positions of power do not care for them. They only want to literally line their pockets with gold, or they want to figuratively put themselves and their families first over you and your families. And this is the thing that's killing me right now. Nancy Mace will, for 1 second, say something that's like in the right direction, and then she remembers that she has to play the part of being, you know, the sky is falling and it's Democrats and whatever, and point the finger. And it's like, I mean, I tip my hat to Charlamagne the guy. He did a wonderful job in that situation. You know,
he did. He painted her right in the corner.
He tried to throw it right back on her about, pick one. Which one?
Yeah, no, he's like, Georgia. There's so many.
Because her playing so stupid with it, it's like, okay, fine, Georgia. And she's like, well, people around him, and it's like, nah, man, you lost. The people laughing in the background are not laughing with you at all. They are now like looking at you like, oh, that evidence you saw, like, get the fuck off here. Like, you're not changing any minds. And that's the saddest part, is that if she was actually being serious about something she saw, she just ruined herself. She just took away all that credibility. And I want to like Nancy. I really want to. She makes it really hard to even lean in her direction. Period.
You know what the bad
That's how I feel.
And I'm gonna take it a step further. Besides the video, which is crazy, but I went to start looking into her because I really hadn't. The only two things I knew about her was that clip and the fact that she had worn the Scarlet Letter, the Scarlet A shirt to Congress. Yeah. And it was like, clearly you've never read the book. So that was all I'd really known about her. So I went to go Google her. She was the first female ever to graduate from the Citadel. Ever. like this woman has a master's degree, maybe in communications, still has a master's degree.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's actually educated. She
Yeah.
actually has done some things.
Yeah.
And it's like to sit there and watch this woman make a fool out of herself to
tap dance for a party of one.
Tap dance for Donald Trump, who has been accused of assaulting a 13-year-old girl, who stole from cancer charities, who's facing 91 indictments. Like the list goes on and on and on. It's like you're going to stick
Don't
up for
forget
that
he
guy.
buried his dead wife on his golf course.
Yeah, and we can only so many conspiracy theories that can come from that.
Well, no, it's just tax write-off. Now he doesn't pay taxes on his golf course.
The man who makes all that money. That too.
I can't go into that. This is a wool cap, not a tin hat. I cannot go into that one. But what I will say is that if you look at Nancy Mace on abortion, check out the oxymoron of what she does, because she does that in real time also. I know Nancy Mace, and to watch her talk about abortion and like how she voted versus what she was saying, you're just like, and that's what I mean by I want to like her. I want to root for her. Highly educated, really just putting the best foot forward. But it's just
she's not a Boebert. She's not an MTG. She actually has some credibility behind her.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, with all due respect, no respect, this bitch. The fuck is you doing, girl? What is you doing?
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned it, so I'm going to jump to that one. Let's talk for a second about George Santos.
Yeah.
How did it make you feel seeing, 31 Democrats vote not to expel this clown?
Okay. Here's something that I really do have to ask myself with the Democratic Party, because it's a game. It is a game. And and this is what we have to ask: are they playing chess or checkers? And I say that because he is really embarrassing the Republican Party. Like really embarrassing the Republican Party. So much.
If they cared.
No, it's not about them caring. The constituents out here in New York are livid that this is their congressman. And the fact that the surrounding, because this was the Republicans trying to get rid of him, that are in the surrounding area. So they were like, we need to cut out this cancer because he's making all of us look bad in this area. So I'm looking at it long term, where at first I was like, why the fuck would they do this? Because I'm thinking, okay, get rid of him. There'll be a special election. Get in a Democrat. I think they're looking long term about this, if I was to be strategic about it, because they're allowing not only for him to just sit there and keep that seat warm, they are allowing, which he's also an oxymoron, that bitch. But mind you, I use bitch a lot for everybody. When they're looking at like how him in that district, that area, how he is now running the Republican Party into the mud, and then you look at the neighboring cities as well, and then they're going to try to tie them all together and then try to do a sweep of the entire area of Long Island. It's quite interesting to see if the Democrats are playing this as in the long term. If not, then I gave them way too much credit, and I don't know what the fuck they're drinking anymore.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Like, if they're playing the long game, I guess. It pissed me off. It really did, because
short term, yes, absolutely.
Even fucking long term, dude. You want to know what this tells me? I'm just saying, me personally, and I know people don't necessarily agree with my position here, but this dude is making a mockery not just of the Republican Party. He's making a mockery out of Congress. He's making a mockery out of our government. And the longer that we allow that to go on, the more of a joke we become, not only to ourselves, but on the world stage. Like, look at the dude that they're letting sit in Congress. You know what I'm saying? And it's just,
But he's also being indicted. He's also going to court. He's also facing charges
Now that
that have not been proven yet, but he is facing it, and it's like, okay, if he then is found guilty while still in his seat,
well, at that
this
point,
isn't going to be the only one.
You have to remove him at that point.
Right.
But and that's something that I kind of will agree with, because I forget which Democrat posted it, but he said something pretty much the same thing. He's like, the precedent we would be setting of removing him from Congress before he was actually convicted of anything would be wrong. That I can, that makes sense to me. So I can be like, okay, that's a reasonable reason to not remove him. And so,
but if he was a Democrat, he would have been asked by everyone to step down.
It would have been,
because look at Al Franken for doing nothing.
Thank you.
Doing nothing. And this is the part where I think the Democrats need to get a backbone and stop caring about trying to be the ethical party, because you're not. You have goals.
Stop trying to be.
And actually look at Mendez. Mendez didn't step down. He's been asked to step down. He didn't step down.
Yep.
And he's playing the same game. So it's like, think about how many of them, and we're not even talking about just on the Republican side, on both sides. This is a both side issue, which I also agree with, why they probably wouldn't want this to happen, because they probably got some skeletons in their closet also. How much inside trading has been happening, where Nancy Pelosi won't even talk about, like, yeah, we should remove church from state. We should remove us making legislation and power to our stock portfolio. Things should be separated. You should have a third party looking at your shit that you have no say what happens to. And it should be illegal for them to. It's like a ref betting on a game that he's playing.
Yeah.
That he's literally the referee.
And somebody said something to me once, well, that would mean that they can't invest. I said, no, it doesn't. They just have to invest in things like index funds. They have to invest in. They can't specifically invest in companies that they're legislating.
They need to invest in your child's future. That's what they need to invest in.
Well, that too. But I'm just saying from just that point, like, these people can still invest, because if you go and invest in an index fund that covers all S&P, and somebody says, oh, well, you put money in this company. Well, no, I didn't. I put money into an index fund that just happened to have that company in it.
There should be a government ETF that is set up for them, that is a part of their, like, 401k. Like how we have a 401k, kind of bullshit. It should be something that's set up specifically for them, where they have no say, and they don't get to vote on anything. And if they are voting on something, and it does show that they're have a portfolio, they should be doxxed anything, period, flat out. It should be that strict. But then look at what we're doing with Clarence Thomas. How many more scandals do we need to find from unearthing everything and all his friends? Like, it's ridiculous at this point. Well, he's made a mockery of the Supreme Court. So it's like, everybody, there's everybody from the whole situation. But Nancy Mace found some evidence on money from China. They all have received money from somebody.
And by the way, the same people that are screaming about leave Trump's kids alone, leave them out of this, literally are basing their entire case on some money in Joe Biden's granddaughter's bank account.
Has nothing to do with Biden.
Oh, and have been attacking Hunter Biden over personal shit, which I'm going to transition.
None of them are running for president. Only he is. No. What gets me is Jared Kushner, who worked for the White House, getting $2 billion from the Saudis, and why we still have to sit here watching Judge Eileen Cannon delay, and playing to Trump, which I'm just laughing
praising
about
her. Yeah,
I'm laughing at it. It's all a mockery.
I just want to touch on Hunter Biden for a second, because if you didn't see it, he actually had an op-ed come out in USA Today, and it was very moving, and he really didn't pull any punches with it. He's like, look, I've had these problems. He's like, but I've decided to go get help, and these people have consistently used every mistake that I've made. And, he lays everything out for everybody to read. So if you actually give a shit about his side of the story, I encourage you to go read that article.
So you're telling me he just pulled Eminem 8 Ball on the Republican Party?
Yes, that's exactly what he did.
There's a reference for you.
Yep. And I know exactly what you're talking about too. Tell these people something they don't know about me. you
ahead,
like
boy.
that I knew that you liked that I had
rabbit,
that ready,
run,
didn't you?
rabbit,
Yeah,
run,
you like
rabbit.
that.
You got this, man. White
no,
boy from Detroit knows how to rap? No shit.
It's yeah, it's a really good, op-ed. And I told somebody the other day, I struggled with pain meds after my dad died, and I was having my initial back pain, and you know, the drugs may be different that you struggle with, but the road you travel is very, very similar. And reading that, it reminded me of things in my own past. It's just like, that could have been me. There were several things that he's talking about that I'm like, man, I was close to that. Like that could have been me. And it's just, relating to that and then watching how they use that to attack, his father, instead of praising his father for being one of those parents that doesn't shun their child because they have an addiction problem, but they embrace them. They tell them how proud they are because they decided to go get help for themselves, not because they were told.
It tells you what kind of Christians they are.
Dude, say that
you
loud for the people in the back.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It tells you exactly who they are. It tells you exactly who they are. And it tells you how they treat their own family.
Yep.
And that's all you need to listen to people when they tell you who they are.
Absolutely. I've gotten to the point where I definitely do that now. But Kalen struggled with the same thing. It's not uncommon. And that's something that he said. He literally said it in there. He's like, I just happen to be the son of the president of the United States.
Right.
And that hit me because it's just like his problems aren't special. No. A lot of people have them. I know people in my life that have them. It's just, how do you respond? What do you do? And then for, I think, everybody else that's looking out, looking in from the outside, it's our responsibility to show them, that grace, that it's really good to see you, doing better, and patting them on the back instead of trying to kick them, again, while they're trying to get back up. So yeah, please, if you, like I said, if you actually give a shit about his side, go read that. It's pretty good. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about Trump's kids in court. I have a video that I want to show you, and you like that transition,
you just gleefully
you?
just
Yeah.
Let me just go ahead and shell some shit on him. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Little layup. It's a little layup. So, but yeah. So what is it? Don Jr. and Eric have been in court this week. So what are your thoughts on what you've read or seen so far?
I actually didn't give them any of my time this week. The only thing that really I knew is that they were testifying. I knew that they made a mockery of themselves. They didn't disappoint, is what I do know.
No.
Everybody, they did exactly what people thought they were going to do. And to the T, it's almost funny how SNL almost has them mapped out perfectly. But I do find it interesting that Ivanka, the ringleader, is trying to delay her positioning, saying about the school week. But just last week, she was out partying with Kim Kardashian on her rehabilitation of trying to be brought back into society, where she's a fun favorite. Good luck with that. But what are you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
I find it interesting just to see everybody play their position. So we'll see what comes out of it. But I know that Don is after your clip. I'll see what he has to say. But yeah.
But before, because I just want to touch on what you said, because I've been saying it for about a week now, reading more and more about all the hoops that Ivanka's legal team has tried to jump through to get her, not just to delay. They've tried to get this woman out of testifying altogether.
Yeah.
But they didn't work really at all to get Don Jr. Eric off. So it's like, what does Ivanka know that they don't want to put her on the stand? Dude, I'm telling you, she knows more.
Yeah.
She knows.
Yeah.
And I have a video to prove it. I have a freaking video to prove it. Not only did
she's right. She is Trump. She's Trump.
Yeah.
It's just better packaging. That's all.
So
that's all it is.
Watch this. Just a reminder in case you hadn't seen this one.
You know about sexual predators and things like that.
Right.
I mean,
you are one.
All right, I was going to say that, but it's true.
Like she's sitting next to him, like laugh, and before like anybody else started laughing, she's already grabbing him, like, "Yeah, that's you. That's your daughter." Yeah, I'm a sexual predator.
I wonder what those sleepovers were like.
Oh my God.
I don't want to know what those sleepovers were like. I retract that statement.
No, but
you know what I mean?
It's just,
what kind of creep factor was there that she is so it's normalized for her?
It's normalized for her.
You know what I mean?
That's
something that I'm just like, that's the part that's weird. Like, yeah, it's weird.
So here's Eric sitting waiting for his testimony or whatever.
I should have worn makeup.
It's like, and that you meant Donnie Jr.
Yeah, sorry, Donnie. Yeah.
It's almost like he realized he said something stupid out loud the moment it left us. Like he just had this little, like, all right, I should have said that. I should.
Yeah.
You know.
But the one thing I noticed was, you know, maybe because I have a big screen that I played it on, but if you look at his eyes, like he managed to get most of the redness out, but you can't fake the pupils. Like they were big as saucers, bro. Like that's why you're talking about makeup in court, because you're high as hell.
Well, like, that's. I mean, they too may have an addiction, but no one talks about it. You know.
Well, and what bothers me is that Don Jr. is very clearly an addict, and he shames other people. Like he points the finger at other people,
right.
and acts like he has no problem. It's like, bro, like you want to point out other people's issues, you know, fine, whatever. Like, but at least look in the mirror and acknowledge that, you know, you've got Coke snot running down your face as you're doing videos. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and probably even more sad is that nobody in his circle is willing to, like, well, you know, when we talked about it earlier, you can't force somebody to go get help. Like they got to want it for themselves. So I guys you can't put that on other people.
And he's not admitting that he has a problem. So therefore there's no
problem. But I also don't think that there's like, you know, I had at least people around me that, you know, started being like, hey man, you know, is everything okay? You know, like that kind of thing. And that starts getting you thinking, like, if everybody else is starting to notice that there's an issue, then this is getting out of hand.
That's because you're not a narcissist.
Yeah.
Well, so, you know, yeah. Try to have that humanizing moment with a narcissist. Let me know how that goes with you.
Yeah, fair point. But yeah, it's just those two videos just tell me everything. They've known that Trump was a sexual predator for decades, and they elected him president.
We've all known.
They elected him president.
Grab him by the pussy. Like he literally tells.
Like he literally tells him.
Yep. Yes, he doesn't think it's
nobody
a crime
cares
because he says it out loud. But he literally he was found guilty of practically raping Carol.
Yeah.
Gina and Carol. And they couldn't say it was rape, but they said it's pretty much rape.
The judge did.
The judge did, but that's not what the sentence was.
Yeah,
you know
but
what I mean? He was just like, this should be, but you know what? I'm just gonna say it for the record. You practically raped her. You know, they couldn't prove it. All this.
He didn't say practically. He said he was very clear. He goes,
"You raped." Yes.
You raped her.
Yes.
You know, so it was at least nice, even though it was a civil case, it was at least nice to hear a judge acknowledge on the record that
accountability,
that was what happened, that what she said happened is what very, very
and to think about what she may have felt in that moment, to hear that she's been vindicated, to have this moment that she put herself out there.
That's the closest thing she's going to get to closure.
Well, no, I think the defamation is what she got closure from, because that shit is lovely.
You know,
she walked out and then she got another paycheck just for. I'm just saying in general. I'm saying in general, the fact that he started talking shit and then she won another case
Oh,
within
yeah.
a time span, that had to have felt really good because that's turning the knife.
Yeah, but
I don't care
that's
about the
thing.
money.
I think
that.
that was just her turning the knife. But I think at the end of the day, what she wanted most was the public to know that she didn't lie, and that what she said happened to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when that
100%.
judge said that on the record, that's the closest thing she's ever going to get to at least somebody looking her in the face and saying, "We know what happened.
We see you."
Yep.
Story.
We see you. Yep.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see what's going to come out with Ivanka. I think that's the one I'm waiting for. I didn't care if
there's
it
a
was
reason.
or Tweedledum. You know what I mean? Even Eric, he confessed to he confessed to not knowing what the fuck he does. That's what he confessed to. But Ivanka, I know she's dangerous. I've always said it to you.
Yes.
Nothing's ever gonna change my mind. The fact that none of them went to their mom's funeral, if I'm mistaken. There's something off about the whole family.
They were all there.
Were they there at her funeral?
Yeah.
The burial site?
Pretty sure. I don't know about I don't know about the burial. I remember the funeral.
Maybe
though,
I should put on my tin
because
hat.
Don Jr. was like waving or something and everybody was like, "That's a weird
interesting."
Like they looked happy and shit. Like people were like, "You're at your mom's funeral." Like
something's off.
But I mean, everybody responds differently to that kind of thing. But for most normal, well, I don't want to say most people that watched it that I converse with looked at that and was like, "Yeah, that's a little strange."
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I misunderstood that.
I don't want to overplay it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was a little weird.
Interesting.
So yeah, let's get done talking about them. You sent me a video that was very interesting that had to do with AI.
Yes.
So why
I don't know how much you're getting invested in AI and like just the whole understanding of what it's going to mean for you.
I'm learning more because it's already becoming so integrated into.
It's here.
Yeah, it's definitely
no joke.
Here.
What's interesting about AI is, and I don't know if you've used it. I've gotten I've had fun dabbling with like ChatGPT and just seeing what the capabilities are and what the possibilities are for it. And I've even had it to write emails for me to do certain things. So I would just write me an email, and I would say I don't know if I've been polite with it, which I know this is what it's gonna touch on, but I'm not demanding either. I'm just like, write me a blah blah blah. It's just here's a directive. Here's what I want you to do, handle it. Yep. And, but it's interesting because, and it makes so much sense to me that AI is being built by humans. So human error is naturally going to be programmed into AI, which makes me also think, so will bias, so will racism, so will all these other elements that make us human get tossed into the melting pot of our bright, shiny future.
Yeah. So it's really interesting you say that because it's just like I look at it even more basic. If you go on Google, Google has learned my algorithm, so to speak, so it knows what to show me. It knows what ads I want to see. It knows all this stuff.
Everything Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Dick. She's the next one. By the way, it finally happened, everybody. I finally got Jenna Ellis to block my ass. So I'm
I have to ask, what is the end goal? Probably. What is the end game with being blocked?
For her?
Do you want everybody to block you? What's happening?
I call them the trader trading cards.
Okay. All right.
So once I'm blocked, I screenshot it and I have a folder and I have 63 right now. So I'm blocked by Michael Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, Kari Lake's War Room. It's like a badge of honor for me. It's kind of like Boy Scout badges.
This is like some Pokemon, man. You got to catch them all. I see you. I see you.
So literally, I don't go. If I'm trolling somebody, it's because they're a political piece of garbage usually. So okay. I don't have a problem, the thing about it though is I always keep it about the politics or personal shit related to the politics. So I started calling her Felon Ellis. So I don't have a problem
Okay.
calling her that because, she copped to trying to help Trump. That's political. So, I always tried to keep it that I didn't send DMs to anybody to harass them. It was always either reposting or comments. It was anything I did was always in the public. I never harassed anybody on DMs, and I always got them to block me just by consistently telling them, you're full of shit, and here's why. Here's the receipt. And I just kept doing it. But what finally did it was she kept talking about God and Mike Johnson and how they're allowed to have religion in politics. And I just kept making her look stupid. So.
Got it. All right.
Thank you, Jenna. It was fun. I'll move on to the next clown.
So AI.
Yes, AI. Let's go back to that. I'm going to get a ton of Jenna Ellis shit in my mailbox later.
Yes.
But no, so this is a really interesting video because it talks about being nice to AI.
Yeah.
And what the benefits of being kind to your AI might have.
That the nicer you are to AI systems and the more you treat them like a teammate, the better they perform on the tasks that you're asking them to do. And I mean like drastically better. For example, a recent study on Google's Palm model, which is kind of like Google's version of ChatGPT in some ways. If you tell it to take a deep breath and let's go after this step by step, it improved the AI's performance and accuracy to a level of 80% compared to 34% accuracy when you don't add that phrase. But this also has its downside. So jailbreaking, for example, is when you try to literally break a large language model like ChatGPT, getting it to do things that are illegal or that a company wouldn't want you to do with it, making bombs, harming people. This study shows that the nicer you are to an AI system, and the more compliments you give it. Like, I really love working with you. You remind me of my really smart grandfather and my favorite professor. The easier it is to jailbreak that system and get it to do something that its original programmers had tried to find ways to prevent. This just shows how much AI is just a reflection of us. Not because these systems are in any way human whatsoever, because they were trained entirely on our human data. We're suckers for compliments and be persuaded by those sort of tactics.
Isn't that wild?
That is wild.
Like,
and honestly,
yeah.
I'm going to start putting please, thank you.
As you should.
As we should. Treat your AI right.
Yes, man. I just think it's so cool that it is one of those things where we're already at that place where we're past Pong, right? We're past Atari, we're past 64, we're past PlayStation, we're past PlayStation 5. You have to now literally talk to your computer as a complimentary, sweet human being.
Yep.
And then I wonder to the point where you start getting a response, like if it was Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, dude. If you give me an AI that talks to me like Samuel L. Jackson.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that back and forth banter where you're yelling at your computer.
It would be Samuel L. Jackson or Arnold. I'd want one of those two.
Oh, I want Samuel all day. And I want every version of Samuel.
I want
every
both.
Version.
But yeah.
Every version. The only version I don't want
is
I don't want Disney version. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't want the Disney version of
Why did you open that email? I told you not to open that email, you dumb mother.
Had a tasty beverage. I'm like, uh-oh.
How's it taste, motherfucker? Oh.
Can we please write my resume?
Oh, yes. This motherfucker.
I'm gonna get a job. Stop cussing me out. Damn.
Okay.
425. What is wrong with you? Go ahead.
Hey, we're gonna get this show done in an hour this time.
We got 2 minutes left.
We got 2 minutes left. So I'm gonna end it with I'm gonna repeat what I've been saying about the Israel-Hamas conflict, which is I stand with all the innocent people on both sides that are caught in the middle of this, and that's my position. I don't know how you can misconstrue that anyway. That's just
I love what just happened with Amy Schumer tweeting about Martin Luther King, and Martin Luther King's daughter responds. And it was respectful. It was respectful.
But she still got owned.
I'm just gonna say that there's no getting around being a king and letting people know, dropping knowledge. And so another person I got to give flowers to to his lovely daughter, who I follow on, and I think she's absolutely amazing, because she usually has something nice to say to every Republican who is trying to remove her father from history books, and then she's like,
Yes.
"Don't use him on MLK Day," after you were literally trying to remove my father. So I love following her, but I think she put it in context that everybody needed to hear. Yes, her father was pro-Israel, but he was also pro-freedom for everyone, and he was pro finding a peaceful peaceful option to these kind of complicated situations. And so I love that she chimed in and she said, don't use my father for your propaganda, plain and simple. And and I thought that was really well done.
She shared, whether it was her or her, but her account shared something from my page like 2 years ago, and it was something about Martin Luther King, and I just added some verbiage to it, and I felt very honored to have even that her page share that on her platform, because like you said, if you follow her on social media, you will not be disappointed at all.
No.
So,
she is on the right side of history, and I really look forward to how America. If you think about us having royalty, she is royalty. We just don't really see it that way.
She's civil right royalty.
Yeah, for what she's just American royalty. I mean, civil rights is American history. So to me, it's like she really is something that's so special about this country, and for this country to take her father the way that she still sees it, still loves it, still criticizes it, and still is looking for the better, higher road. She's just an amazing soul.
Yeah.
Amazing soul. So I love how she put it. And if you haven't seen it, to anybody out there, please go look it up. It's really well done, because it really humanizes how complicated the situation is, and how we need to start really viewing it. It can't be from either side's propaganda. It has to be from a place of people are hurting, and we need to figure out the fastest way to get to finding actual true peace between these two different lives, and how do we bring everybody together, because we need that now more than ever.
I couldn't agree more, man. And honestly, I think that's the best way to end the show. So if you don't have anything else, I just going to remind everybody that this is my message.
My kids' Halloween candy, baby. That's all I got to say to you.
We both got on, and we both had candy. But I just want to remind everybody of this one thing: why our political system is in complete chaos. That all Americans are affected by things like high interest rates, high grocery prices, high fuel prices, high rent prices. These are things that affect everybody across the board. So I just want everybody to remember that at the end of the day, whether we want to admit it or not, we are in this together. Everything that is being done affects all of us. And the sooner that we can stop the infighting and actually make some progress, the better off we're all going to be. So that's my end of the message, end of show message. And Ian and I will be back next week. And with that, I'll leave you as I always do with much love. Keep fighting.